Hello everybody and welcome to this vlog. Before we get into the panel introduction, I just want to say that one, I'm so thankful that I had an opportunity to be in this room. I learned a lot. And before you proceed in this video, just know that this is for people who really want to go into entertainment law and sports. Even if you're like the student athlete or the athlete or an artist or an influencer and you want to hear the industry, the business, and the legal perspective about these things, this video is for you. For law students, this video is to give you insight, but just know that this video provides a lot of information and insight into the industry from key players like NFL teams, music labels, sports agents, and anything you could think of. This is an actual glimpse inside the world of entertainment. See you guys soon. First of all, you did not tell them that you are an attorney.
This is what happened when I think about you. I get in my feelings, yeah. I start reminiscing, yeah. This time around, fuck, I want it to be different, yeah. Waiting on a sign, guess it's time for a different prayer. Lord, please favor for me. Do this one favor for me. I had to change my play ways, got way too complicated for me. I hope she's waiting for me. Everywhere she go, they playing my song. That's why I say the things that I say that way. I know you can't ignore me, but so.
Hello everybody and welcome to the vlog. We are starting the vlog with me already out, already ready to go. Right now it is 8:23 and I am at the University of Miami for the Global Entertainment and Sports and Arts Law Convention, and I am so excited to be here. I am wearing a tan suit today and this is my mom's. I really need to go shopping. That's like next on the list to get some more like business law clothing, but guys, life be happening too fast and things just be popping up. I'm wearing a tan suit, like I said. I have a tan bag and I'm gonna bring you guys along with me. Right now we had to park in a certain pavilion, but they didn't tell us which level to park in, so I'm hoping I don't get a ticket because I sure paid $13 to be here. But yeah, we're gonna have a good day. We're about to go eat some breakfast. I was gonna wear heels, but I think I'm gonna put on some flats due to the fact that I have to be here all day, so that's not gonna work. But I'm hoping to meet attorneys, people, network opportunities. I came by myself. I am nervous once again, so much nerves, but we're gonna get up and we're gonna go out there and we're going to network and we're going to meet people today. So come with me.
Take me through that, take me through that. Where we going, twin? Take me through that, take me through that.
This is your proof to do it alone.
What role does the sport that they play and where they play have in terms of how you help them build their brand and that strategy behind it?
You know, where they're from in the sport really doesn't matter. You saw a picture in the video of Sia Khaleesi, the captain of the World Cup winning, two-time World Cup winning Springboks in South Africa. You know, Sia Khaleesi is a hero. He's LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, Tom Brady, all combined in South Africa. This man can't walk on the streets. And so when I first met him following the 2019 World Cup victory in Japan, I told him I wanted to turn him into a global brand, which we have done. Rugby is a tiny sport, it's a niche sport. Here in America, it's not even relevant. But when Sia Khaleesi now goes into non-traditional rugby markets, he's known. When he came to visit us in South Florida, we walked through the mall in Boca Raton, people started screaming, "My captain." He's the captain of the Springboks. He's been on major media platforms here in America. His documentary, won every award at the Tribeca Film Festival in New York City. So it doesn't matter the sport. Another great example is Vinicius Jr. When I first met Vinny, he said to me, "Michael, I'm huge in Brazil. I'm big in Spain, I play for the biggest club in the world, but I want to be a global brand. I want to be culturally relevant. And the US is going to host the World Cup. By the time I get to US soil, I want to be a relevant celebrity, not a relevant football player, but a relevant celebrity. And we put together a 36-month plan for him. Today, he's a big-time celebrity. He's a crossover athlete. You look at his followers, and you look at where they're coming from. He's got equal distribution amongst multiple countries today versus where he was. And we used the power of some of his commercial partners to really help build his relevancy around the world, especially here in America. Whether it was Nike, whether it's Visa, whether it's Havaianas, he's got 14 or 15 commercial partners, many of them based here in America, that are going to leverage the World Cup through him. So again, it has nothing to do with the sport. It has to do with the blueprint and strategy.
So let's stay on maybe Vinny for a second and use it as a case study. So huge popularity, huge Instagram following, huge social media platform.
50 million.
But how do you decide, like, okay, I'm sure you said he's got 14, 15 main commercial partners. I'm sure you could have 200, right, if you wanted to. So how do you kind of sift through those opportunities and decide which make the most sense and which ones, are just like, yeah, we could do this for a payday, but like in that 36-month strategic plan that you talked about, this isn't really going to make a lot of sense in terms of where we want to build him to be?
It's a good question. First of all, any athlete that does commercial endorsements, most of the time it's not really driven around the income. A guy like Vinny is making 25 million net. Here in America, it'd be 50 million gross a year at the age of 25. A commercial deal is not going to change his life. So what's really important to Vinny is working with brands that he's passionate about, that he's loyal to, and that he trusts. And then working with brands that are going to help tell his story and amplify his IP. So one of the deals that we did with Vinny over the last 2 years was Hugo Boss fragrance. If you go into any airport around the world today, and you go into the fragrance area, you will see Vinny's face and his IP along with some other celebrities as part of that activation. They paid him significantly, but what drove that opportunity for Vinny was his admiration for Boss, and number 2, the global activation. We just finalized a deal for the World Cup a couple of weeks ago with Vinny with Visa and Marriott. And he really didn't have the bandwidth to do this deal. But he said, Michael, you know what, if it's global, and if it's going to give me global penetration, and it's going to help promote my IP, I'll do it. And so when the World Cup gets closer, you'll see a global activation around Vinicius Jr. all over the world through Visa and through Marriott.
And so, like, what role does content creation? I mean, we're obviously in the age of social media and TikTok and Instagram and podcasts everywhere, right? Is the new thing. You mentioned a couple of media platforms that people have been on. What role does content creation generally play in building the global brand these days?
Content is huge. It's a great medium to tell the story. And when you think about brand build, you think about leveraging IP, you think about creating opportunities, it really is about telling the athlete's story. And so through content, through all the commercial partners that Vinny has going back to Vinny, and many of our artists and athletes, we're able to tell their story. We don't want them to be positioned just as athletes or artists. We want people to understand who they are as individuals. We want to pull back the curtain. And we can do that through content, we can do that through social and digital activation. We're very aggressive in that space. We've invested significantly in an in-house content area, as well as social and digital. And so, for us, it's critically important.
Another thing we're starting to see trend-wise in terms of these partnerships is equity deals, right? So it's not just, you're not just getting, money, cash, but you're getting a piece of the company. And I think if you're passionate and authentic about the brand, and I had a basketball NBA player, he's telling me that he'd rather go out to, Costco and hang out and do an activation and signing where he's got equity in it than, post something for cash. And so how are you seeing that kind of trend in your space?
So it's a big part of what we do. when our chairman, when Jay meets with our athletes and artists and we talk about commercial opportunities, you know, Jay's comment is always, if you're going to work for a brand, if you're going to invest your sweat in a brand, get equity so that you really can get paid. You know, you go back to the late and great Kobe Bryant. I'm sure many of you know the story with Body Armor. When Body Armor was sold to Coca-Cola, Kobe made over $500 million. He never took cash. Now, we had a couple of athletes also at that time. Skylar Diggins, who was one of the faces of the WNBA. Des Bryant, who was a great receiver for the Dallas Cowboys, that also took equity in those deals. And they made significant money. So, equity deals are really important. Sometimes it's difficult to get an athlete or an artist to understand the long-term gain versus the short term, because obviously everyone wants cash in their pocket today. So it's up to us to educate them and use some of these other opportunities and other examples like Kobe as an example as to why you should take equity. If you believe in the brand, if you believe in the fundamentals, and you're going to put your time and effort into promoting it, you might as well have equity.
As I'm based in Chile, everything that we negotiate, for example, with the US, is negotiated probably in gross. And then you have to write the deal and say, whoa, wait, you are not earning this amount of money because you have to pay a withholding tax. Oh, what's that? Well, and you have to go and start explaining. I'm not a tax advisor either, but it's something pretty important to have in mind. How the deal is structured will depend on how much tax probably you will have to pay because of the specific wording in the agreement. So it's very important to understand what you are doing, because we can talk about live performance agreement, but that's not the only thing you will be seeing. You will be seeing co-productions, co-promotions, different licensing. So everything has a different withholding tax. And it's pretty important to have that very clear since the very beginning.
Is there ever a time where you completely stay away from a territory because the taxes could make the artist be upside down in costs?
I've seen it, but I've only seen in the context that they're going to do a show, for example, just to that territory. You know, if they're going to do a whole tour in the region, maybe it makes sense to, you know, spread the cost of it.
So outside of taxes, let's talk about IP. Whether it's bringing the brand to a new territory, are you thinking about trademarks? Are you looking at filing for trademark applications in the various territories? And also like streaming and IP rights that are connected with that, how are you guys navigating those situations?
Yeah, I mean, I've been with Rolling Labs since essentially the very beginning, and when you're just starting out, having an international trademark strategy is really expensive, and the owners of any company don't want to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on trademarks that maybe theoretically will, you know, go into a certain country. So, you know, you do need it to plan for that, and that is something that definitely should be considered, but it just depends where you are in your company and how much budget you have. But ideally, you would want to have all of the trademarks that have been filed before, because in the US you have strong intellectual property rights where, like, even if something's not filed, you can, you know, potentially still, you know, claim ownership and you know, commence a lawsuit. But internationally, a lot of them are first to file, so someone files for a trademark first, you know, ends up owning it. Like, I think everyone probably has a China story, you know, a long time ago we had like an issue in China, similar type of thing where someone just filed a registration for our stuff, and we were just starting out, didn't have the budget to kind of go and look at everything globally. But it's definitely something that we would consider when looking at a market is how strong are their intellectual property rights? Is this just going to be like us chasing down, a lot of these unauthorized either merchandise or whatever using our marks? On the clearance, the live stream side, it is very different also in each market. I mean, we did a show in India recently, and clearing all of the rights to the live stream was way more expensive than it would be in the US, just how their rights organizations and everything, their copyright laws are set up. So it definitely creates a lot of issues where you need a strong local counsel lawyer. Like for India, we had a local Indian lawyer who was specialized in that area of law, and was able to kind of advise on those issues.
Thinking about streaming, Lollapalooza Chile was a couple of weeks ago, and people always say to me, what do you do in the festival? Like, what are you working? What do you do? And one of the things that we have to do is to go through every licensing agreement and be sure that we can stream or broadcast what we are doing, how many songs, how long, for how much time, geo-blocked, and to make sure that this is being respected by the company who's streaming. So that's one of the most important things. You don't want to stream something you have not been authorized to. That's like very complicated. And coming to trademark, when you build a brand, in our case, we didn't build it. It was famous already, but it's something that you want to take care of, because it's pretty common to go and to see how different people or different companies try to make an association that you haven't accepted. And it's not only about money. Of course, you have your sponsors and you want to respect their rights, but you also have to be sure that anyone that's associated with your brand is respecting the laws, it's not getting people into trouble. If it's maybe, I don't know, food, it's not intoxicating people, because then what's happening is your brand, the one that's on the table. So you have to be very careful and looking that those things are not happening.
Yeah, that's a big deal. I have nothing else to add to the trademark element. I think, Brian, you kind of touched on all of it, but it's the truth. It's extremely expensive to have a global trademark strategy. Having good advice on that is extremely important. And you have to take into consideration where you want to be, again, strategically, where you want to be in the future to kind of come up with that strategy and what makes sense at that moment to invest in. I think one of the biggest things from the label perspective is streaming rights. Not just live streaming, but recording those rights. From the record label perspective, these guys are not going to agree with me necessarily, but from the label perspective, if you invest millions of dollars in an artist and you want to own any recording that artist ever makes, or at least you want to have rights to exploit it at the same time. So that's one of the biggest fights that labels always have with promoters, and it makes sense. I mean, from the promotion side, they're like, well, I'm investing millions of dollars in this event, and I want to be able to live stream and own the recordings that are made there. So it's a fight that happens, and usually there's a compromise that can be made if both attorneys are willing to make a compromise, and see each other's perspective. And you can usually, if you listen to the other side, you can figure out what's important for them, and you can address their concerns. But I really can't minimize how important live streaming is and live streaming rights are. And those live streaming waivers, you guys know, they're like 2 pages or 3 pages max. They're not big, but they're sometimes negotiated more intensely than like a 30-page contract, I mean, these are highly negotiated documents. Geo-blocking, rights, copyrights, blackout dates, where things can be transmitted, fees, publishing clearances. No one wants to go out and get the publishing clearances. These are brand associations. These are really highly negotiated documents, and sometimes the artist doesn't have the right to those. So from their perspective, they're negotiating with artist management and the artist, but they're also negotiating with the record label as well, who ultimately has rights to a lot of these recorded music rights. So I think getting a handle on those kinds of documents, to me, is one of the best skills, especially if anyone's here, a new attorney that's starting out, that you can have, is really studying those documents and understanding them conceptually and being able to negotiate them.
If it's more difficult to navigate in other countries, but technically that's where the event is taking place, how are you navigating more choice of laws?
choice of law, at least from our contract with the local promoter, is always going to be US law. And then, you know, the artists, I think it kind of depends on the agency of where the choice, some is where you're doing a show, some it's the UK they want, some it's the US they want. But then, you know, I'm curious on your side in dealing with all the vendors, even some probably international vendors, you know, getting all this sophisticated production to your country. Like, what is the choice of law that you have in there?
Well, as the event is taking place in Chile, in that case, yeah, we negotiated, but it's 90% of the cases it will be Chile. However, with artists, it's not the case, and that's something that you have to know, and that you don't have to spend much time trying to negotiate it because you're not going to win, but you can spend time trying to draft the agreement correctly to help you not to get to that point and to build a relationship that's going to help you not to get to that point.
Period.
The next day.
All right, you guys, we are at a long red light right now. If you don't believe me, there it is. Sorry if you can't see it. But we are at day 2 of going to University of Miami. I am wearing a different outfit. I was wearing a black shirt and this khaki blazer, but now I'm wearing a black dress and a khaki blazer still because to cover my tattoos, which I might take off because being an entertainment event, I realized somebody was wearing a crop top with the blazer and it was only showing a little stomach, but I realized a little more informal than other fields of the law. So I feel like after a certain point I could take it off. Today I have a person who I really want to meet in mind, who I'm going to go up to and introduce myself to, so I'm very excited for that. I also met a friend. She is so cool. She's actually behind me. We ended up even staying at the same hotel. Like, I was getting breakfast and then I turned around and it was her and we're like, what? And then she's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, I had no clue. And she's so cool. And this is the thing about networking, you see. I feel like this whole time I've been getting more information, but now I'm leaving with like somebody who's gonna be in the field, and she lives in New York and she's thinking about moving to Florida, but she still thinks she's gonna be like licensed under New York laws. So I'm like, imagine that, a connection, boom, boom, boom. Say my client ever wants to collab, do something in New York. Now I got an attorney who we can jointly represent together or just figure it out or something. So I love that. Connections. Don't forget, your peers are connections too, and that's why you should be concerned about how you carry yourself in the law, because that is important. But anyways, we're gonna talk when I get there because right now I'm driving and I don't want to like be distracted. I care about the road.
I had a great team. We went to play the Super Bowl, and I do feel like I was part of a piece that Bears needed to get to that next level of success. So I'm extremely happy that it worked out. But again, I think what people don't understand, it's hard for us not to be emotional about it as a player. Jason says it's a business. When you put your blood, sweat, and tears and things, and you tear ACLs, and like you see Bernie back there, and you know how much he struggled with his health. It's hard not to take this thing personal when personally the game affects you, right? Physically, mentally, and but it is a business, and I think the biggest part about it, I think everybody should understand that it's hard to separate the emotion side from the business side.
Just to add to that, it is a game that's built around our hearts, whether you're a coach or a player, but it is a business. So as a coach, when things happen, you can lose a player, you can gain a player. You take consolation in the process that we did everything we could in our preparation. From a head coaching standpoint, is to make sure the GM knows the role clarity that the player will have, the culture fit, because the culture of the team are the values of the head coach. That's the locker room.
That I try to do, whether I'm under a cross-examination or whether in any of these scenarios, is to stay calm, stay composed, stay on your track, and take a deep breath every now and then and keep your composure.
Thank you. Thank you all for those great answers.
Frequently enough, you're a business partner, you understand the business, you show them that you care, that you're on the same side, that you're trying to achieve the same goal, that you will bend over backwards to find the right way to get things done. In the rare occasions when you have to say no, it goes down a lot easier. And you know, clients would stop and say, wow, I mean, so rare that you would say no, there must be a real problem here. But then you couple that with, it's not just no, but let's explore what you're trying to achieve, and let's see if there's a way that we can adapt the deal, change the strategy, or come up with a creative approach that gets you to where you want to go that doesn't have these complexities. And so the job is not, we're not sitting in an office answering memos, yes or no. Our job is to be part of the process from the very beginning, and then contribute to the thinking in terms of how do we get to the outcome that we want.
Oh, I'm like, where's the lunch? Let me wait, let me see. I think lunch is 12.
I'm always dressing fresher than a mannequin. I grew up in a ruthless ass environment. I'm on the phone with yo, I ask them how to try when.
and doing entertainment. But then I started getting pressure by Univision. Lily, you have to get out there in social media and you have to start posting and you have to start doing something. And I remember that I told everybody, do you guys know who Luis Miguel is? Luis Miguel is it's a singer, very private. So I used that example as the day that Luis Miguel goes on social media, Lily Estefan will go on social media. A year goes by, and one day, executive comes to me and they're like, we need to talk to you. Did you see Luis Miguel went on Twitter? And I'm like, on Twitter? For what? Oh, he's already announcing concerts in Twitter. Long story short, in my show, live, they took a computer, they opened Twitter for me, and they made me, with my 2 fingers, post my first Twitter for the audience. And I remember that no one turned off notifications for me at night. And when, you know, I'm sleeping, and the phone, the whole night was papa, papa, papa. Like, it was crazy. I took it out of the room. I get up the next day in the morning, and I have 40,000 followers, like in, I don't know, maybe 10 hours. And I'm talking back in 2012, okay, 2012. So then I started thinking, okay, I'm a brand, what do I post? And someone told me, start posting your shoes. I'm a woman, I love shoes. And the story is that, yes, we are all a brand. We were talking about that before, because for the younger generation, you guys are used to getting on social media and talking about your problems to people that you don't know, like nothing. And for us, we keep an image of we're all okay, nothing is wrong, everything is great, I look good, I feel great. It was a different generation. So what do I want to say by this is we are a brand. I am responsible for what I say every day. I take responsibility and I try to keep an image. So when people think of Lily Estefan, they think of my smile, they think of happiness, they think of someone that connects with the artist, they think of fashion, like I've always loved fashion, flowers, things like that. I can give you a long list. I love to mentor the new generation. Gordiflaga is known to be a show that is a platform for the new talent. All the queens from Nuestra Belleza Latina would go to Gordiflaga and we would elevate them and teach them and teach them to produce, to edit, to do their stories. So yes, branding, I think it's the main thing we have going on now. You need to know who you are and how people connect to you.
Thank you.
Working with, let's say, a singer or R&B artist, 9 times out of 10, I really want to get the beat done before they're there, or get the idea like happening before they're there. But let's say a rapper or anybody of that sort, it's kind of in the moment. It's like an in the moment thing. So,
Why do you want to get the beat done before they're there?
Because recording with a singer is way longer. It's like a way longer process. Like you got probably like 40 different tracks you got to lay down. And that's just for the verse. So it's a long process.
Okay, so then when you're in the studio and you're collaborating with, other producers, writers, artists, how are the decisions as to credit and contribution?
The music industry, definitely dealing with the artist or producer, there's a lot of egos in the room. And one person probably feel like I did more to I contributed more to the song. So I think we don't really speak on it at that moment because it's going to kind of like kill the vibe.
Yeah, but you have your terms set out even before you step into the studio, no?
Oh yeah, I definitely have the terms set out because I've been in a position to actually do business with a great song, a great product that we have to push out. And there's plenty of people, there's different hands in the pot. You'll have my team and another person's team, and whoever on the team, their hand in the pot, so they don't know what they're doing to kind of mess up the whole pot.
Yeah, so Major's able, before he goes in the studio, make sure that he's got his terms set out before he walks in that door. But you and I were talking a little bit kind of about clout, right? So depending on clout, asking for the proper splits, asking for proper credit, everything in the beginning to kill the deal or kill a up and coming producer's moment, coupled with someone who's has the clout like Major, who obviously has his standard of what he needs.
Yeah, you're 100% right, and I think one of the biggest things I learned just being a lawyer is that everything is a textbook. You can't treat everybody the same way. Not saying you're not respectful, but every deal isn't the same way, right? You have some artists when you're dealing with them, and they just the hottest artists in the world, and it's like take it or leave it. You got 100 tracks we recorded, like I talked about. They all on this whiteboard, and if you don't get down what we put down, you just out the project. So you have to know that, but you also have to know I got a producer, and they hot, and they Grammy nominated, and all of my interns are attested to this. We have producers on our platform where one loop is making them $15,000, $20,000 a month. So somebody offering them $1,000 for something that's making them, that's a securitized asset, it doesn't make sense for them to just accept that, right? So as a lawyer, as a future lawyer, you kind of have to be looking at all of these angles, but to your point, a lot of it is just, and to Major's point, a lot of it is around clout and ego, and at the time in which the deal is being put forth after everyone's done their creative collaboration, who has the final say? And being a good lawyer really takes emotional intelligence to know who has the final say.
Yep. And if you can speak to when maybe coming in a little too hot and not having enough clout has killed the deal for a producer. I know that I've had situations where, and Major, you and I were talking about this a little bit, where there's, and to get into the nuances, there's maybe a producer that's hiring more producers that are signed to that producer, and he's placing everybody. And he's like, if you don't sign exactly what I'm gonna have you sign, I'm gonna rip what you have, I'm gonna put it through AI, I'm gonna make something better, or I'm just gonna, there's a million other people that want your site, and you need this placement, you need this credit. And it balanced with that, balanced juxtaposed with, okay, so when I was at Remus and producers would come in, or lawyers would come in, excuse me, too hot. And we'd be like, what? And it would go all the way up to the top.
Oh, come on now, there you go, good. Awesome, very nice.
Guys, I met a friend and now she's leaving, so bye. Okay, you guys, somebody is gonna introduce themselves on my channel and you're gonna hear all about him.
What's up, it's Kyle Brown here. Nice to meet everybody. Hope y'all like, share, and subscribe. Make sure y'all not just being a ghost follower, ghost watcher. Leave a comment, you feel me?
You know what, I appreciate you. And first of all, you did not tell them that you are an attorney. And what do you do?
I'm an attorney. I work in the music industry. I work for a tech company named BeatStars. And today we just had a panel talking about the business behind the beat. So I represent artists, I represent producers, I represent the company. Just making sure they get paid and protecting their rights.
Okay, and then do you have any advice for somebody who wants to end up where you want to be?
I think the biggest thing is just believing in yourself, staying curious, being hardworking, and never taking no for an answer, and just doing what you love, right? Not necessarily, and never trying to follow other people's path because everyone has a different path. So just doing what you love, having fun, and everything will work out for you.
He just spit some gems, so y'all should go listen to him because that is really facts. No one can be you, so make sure to still follow your path. Thank you for being on my channel, and I appreciate you.
Yeah, make sure y'all like, share, subscribe.
Period.
Hype too.
Thank you. And y'all go follow him on?
You can follow me at Attorney Kyle everywhere.
Okay. If you watch my vlogs for real, you already know why I'm on the road. Every time I go to a hotel, I just leave in the middle of the night. I don't know what it is. That's always been my pattern. And it's really because I be knowing deep down I gotta drive like an hour home, 2 hours home, 3 hours home sometimes. So I like late night drives, less people on the road, smooth sailing, the vibes of listening to your music. So I went back to my hotel room after the event. We have so much to talk about. Day 2 was definitely a success. I have no words right now. We got so much to talk about. But I'm on the way home, doing my late night drive, same old, and we are gonna talk today because I'm so excited to share with you guys the knowledge, the importance of networking, the importance of being in certain rooms, and the importance of just being a hustler for real. So, especially if you want to make it in entertainment law or sports law, you gotta be a hustler at heart. You're literally in the room with people who are going to shake hands, go in front of producers, go in front of artists, go in front of the NFL. You gotta show confidence, you gotta show that you're the one, and you gotta show that you're the person to do the job. And that starts by introducing yourself. So we'll talk soon. Hello everybody, it has officially been more than just a day later or the same day. It has been a couple days later from this experience, and I just want to really tune in on some things that I felt and learned about this experience. And number one thing I learned is that even as attorneys or anybody in business or anybody doing anything, we are all a brand, and you should be focusing on building your brand because that's how you get seen, that's how you build partnerships, that's how you put yourself out there. Notice when Roc Nation was talking, he said he wanted to turn an athlete into a global brand. He wanted to turn this person into a global brand, and that should really be the goal for everybody that's trying to make it as a brand, because now you're going internationally or across states. And he was really saying how content is a root of it. And you even heard from the Latin American television host, and she was saying how they were telling her she needs to create a Twitter, she needs to do something. So even as you try to become a rapper, an artist, a YouTuber, you got to be thinking about the brand and what you're putting yourself out there as, and who are you and what image are you creating and what rooms are you in. And then something else I liked about this whole experience was like even thinking about live entertainment. Something you don't think about is like choice of law. If a celebrity is going on tour worldwide, what choice of law governs in each state? How do you get those venues? How does a celebrity get there? And that is just a backbone of entertainment, is like working with local governments, working with people in other states and other countries and other towns, and making sure that everything is smooth. So it's not just music. And it's crazy because even even in one of the panels, they were talking about it. And for them to have an event in Miami, they got to get approval from like the politicians here, and like if they want to ever expand the Hard Rock and what goes into that. So it's deeper than just entertainment. It's land, it's real estate, it's a lot. And I just liked all these conversations that were truly had. So those are a lot of big takeaways. This is why I'm here today, because I want to be basically a branding attorney, and I want to be able to do the contracts, entertainment, the deals, the licensing, and I want to protect your intellectual property. Intellectual property is what all this is about. Who owns the song? Who owns the beat? Who owns the music? Who owns the masters? Who owns the art? Who owns the photograph? Who owns the stuff? And whoever owns it is the one who can leverage it, which is why I'm like, let's get together. Let me help you protect your intellectual property, but then let's also let me help you do these deals if you ever want to license or you want to sell or you want to do anything, so that we can make sure that the creative, the musician, the artist, whoever is getting the best foot of the deal, whoever is the client. And that's why I want to do entertainment and intellectual property. And I've just been applying to a lot of entertainment firms. I've been putting myself out there. So you guys see I'm going to these events, these rooms. You see guys, I met Major 9, which is a rapper and a former NFL player. And you have to introduce yourself. And you have to really put yourself out there. And me and attorney Kyle, I really like him. He was very cool, very chill. And he's somebody who's in the industry I'm trying to go into. And you know, just meeting cool people like that. And something I learned is that being myself always gets me the furthest. And that's just how I go about networking, just being who I am. And I see that people resonate with that. So that's what I do. But networking is so important. If it wasn't for me being in these type of rooms, where would have you ever heard this knowledge? Or where would you ever get to meet Walt Disney and Universal and an NFL player and an NFL coach and an actress and a Sony company and a producer and a rapper all in the same room? So this is the importance of these rooms and putting yourself out there. And I just want everyone to know, in the field of entertainment, whether you're on the industry side, the client side, or the legal side, come to me. My name is Legally Naya. I'm here to work with you in the future. I have confidence, I have what it takes, and I know that I'm going to break into this field. So if you want to protect your intellectual property and you just have a business and one day you expand and now you're an influencer and you're an artist, I will protect you there too. Like I said, I'm trying to become a one-stop shop. And I took the bar, and I'll be getting my bar results very soon. So just know, to be in this field, you gotta work hard, you gotta hustle, you gotta put yourself out there, you need to be yourself, you need to have a good work ethic, you need to have a good work product, and you need to be a good person so that you can get the furthest. And you need to treat your peers as building your brand, and you need to treat your peers as somebody who's going to respect you down the line for the future. And I'm thankful for everyone I met at this event. You guys were very cool. Shout out to the attorneys that were there. Thank you for the opportunity to teach us, inform us. Somebody like me definitely received everything I needed. Two of you are watching this. Thank you for getting to the end of my video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. What is the point of my channel? My name is Legally Naya, and I'm here to show you the journey of becoming an attorney from law school to the bar to life. Hopefully this video gave you some insight on somebody who wants to become an entertainment attorney, because I know I sure do. And I am not going to stop until I get there. See you guys soon. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Any questions, leave below. Legally Naya. Legally Naya.